for the three, though. That's two. Collins driving, almost lost the handle. Chalmers for the tie. Got it in 10 seconds. Unbelievable.
He throws. Got Meyer. Touchdown. Gary Meyer.
And he used to tell me, those places are great, but there's no place like Kansas.
All right. We are back, folks. Big episode. Not only because we have a former KU football legend on the show, as you see, but also we are 24 hours away from kickoff of, I think I'll throw this out there, the most anticipated KU football season of our lifetime. Is that crazy? Like, I know we won an Orange Bowl, but going into that year, was there more hype than this team? I don't know. Something to chew on.
I think you can say most anticipated in KU football history. Like obviously you said Orange Bowl. That's probably the best team we've ever had. Obviously, you had a lot of guys coming back: Todd, Gary Meyer, Dez. But I think all the momentum, and plus you have the preseason hype where you're ranked. You have the star power with JD and Dev and Kobe. Maybe it's prisoner of the moment, but Brian Haney was saying it at the NIL event like 2 weeks ago that it's the most anticipated season in KU history, and I've been thinking about it nonstop since. And I'll say it is. Why not?
I love it. Carter, you got a take on that?
Yeah, I mean, no doubt. It definitely beats out 2015. So, no, I couldn't be more fired up. Like, I fully agree. It's just a combination of the veterans that are coming back, the progress we've seen the last 3 years, and, just can't wait to get going on Thursday.
Yeah, I was trying to think all jokes aside, which year of your time at Kansas, which now, like, by the way, with the whole Leipold stuff and how everything's gotten, where he's taken this program, like, it feels like your time at KU was so long ago. Like, it just feels like such a different time. But you had some exciting, like, there was momentum going into seasons. It always didn't go that way. Would it be, I feel like I'm not trying to roast that at all, but like, what season was your most anticipated season? Would it have been 2019, 18?
Yeah, I think as far as confidence, like, I was most confident in the team in 2018. We had a strong senior class. We had guys like Joe Deneen on defense, Steven Sims on offense, Puka Williams was a freshman on offense that year, and a lot of other guys, Daniel Wise on defense. But I think as far as a team, 2018, but as far as like me individually as a player, I felt most confident 2019 before my last year.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about that last week, just the game at Boston College. I think we were like 3-score dogs and got down 17 or whatever, and then Khalil, Puka, and then it just felt like the offense, like the play calling changed entirely after that. But I mean, we talk about this, and you don't really need to hype yourself up if you don't want. But thinking about you under Leipold and Kotelnicki's system, like, I feel like you would have put up stupid numbers under the staff at just how competent they are.
Yeah, I think it would have been a lot of fun. I kind of thought that naturally 2021, even though 2021 it was kind of more simple. We didn't have too much of a talented roster at all. Coach Leipold's first year there, so it's not like they were going, balls to the wall with crazy gadget plays and great play actions, RPOs and whatnot. But you could definitely see the creativity, and it looks like an awesome offense to be a part of.
Do you ever, I mean, obviously you are extremely happy that KU football is where it's at, because you're like, that's what I've always liked about you. You're a true fan. Like, you didn't just play and then move on. You're doing a freaking podcast with 3 idiots 5 years after your time at KU. So you've always been like a genuine Jayhawk. But like, do you ever kind of get a little salty or annoyed that like they figured it out right after you left? Or is it like you feel, because I always feel like when you look back on this rebuild, it's got guys like you and those other guys you mentioned that truly did pave the way to get here. Because does Lance Leipold take this job if he doesn't see some of those great moments? Like, even though the Boston College game, like that one was awesome. It showed that KU football could be sweet if things just kind of went the right way. So like, how do you feel about how quickly this is? I hate all these questions I'm asking. I'm basically just being like, oh,
no, it's
things were bad. Now they're good.
No, I think I'm trying to think. So hold on. So what was the so I get salty at like the fact that boom, like they're good. Like, I wish we were on a team that had success and, genuinely every single game, even in the early stages, like 2022, Leipold's second year, every single game they were competitive and, had a legitimate chance of winning. Obviously went 6-7, went to a bowl game. Like, of course, like definitely wish I was, and my teammates, we were in a position to do that. But as far as like overall program, like, no, like you said, I love it. It's awesome to see. And, definitely excited to see what we do this year to kind of be year 4 under Leipold.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, your senior year, that was probably the most buzz KU had created since Mancino left. Like, there was a bunch of elite games that year, and then the next year, whatever, I think they had a defeated season. And then obviously you hire Leipold, he takes over a winless team. Like, when you sit back and think about it, how insane is this turnaround from this staff? And like, how many head coaches in the country could do what he's done?
Yeah, no, I was thinking literally the exact same thing about a week ago. It's just so insane. Like like you said, 2020, they were 0-9. And it's not even like Leipold got hired that December. He got hired the last game or like last practice of spring ball, probably mid-May. And so he had 0 spring ball practice with these guys, summer training, whatever, and then fall camp and then right into it. So just how they finished that first year, 2021, I was super confident. They beat Texas, lost to TCU on like a last second field goal at TCU, and then, should have beat West Virginia. I think it was 38-20 or 34-28. So yeah, it was like really promising at the end of that first year. Sure enough, they get a full off season with the guys and, able to bring in some of their own recruits and transfer portal guys and start off that next year 5-0, hosting College Game Day, and just so incredible. So no, I mean, I was thinking about it last week, and I literally think there's 2 to 3 active coaches right now that could do as good of a job as Leipold and staff, like Kirby Smart, Kalen DeBoer. I mean,
right there, list is over.
It's actually insane. So no, obviously hats off to the staff and Jared Goff for, just making all this progress happen.
And I don't know how much time you've spent with the staff or the administration and what all you've heard, but I guess what are some of the things they've done so effectively? And I guess how early did you know like this staff was going to be legit?
I'll tell you what, that's one thing I am kind of salty about. I don't know what they're doing because like it's not like my time there. It's not like we were just not lifting hard enough or not running hard enough in sprints. Obviously, I think the X's and O's could have been a little bit better. Obviously, the talent could have been a little bit better, but no, I don't know what they're doing, but it's awesome.
Yeah, that is what's so interesting to me, is because like when Les came to KU, we were all so convinced it was going to work. And then we were all even more convinced as you guys had those games we talked about where you showed a high level of play. It's just crazy to think that Leipold has been able to not just show flashes. Like, it could have been really easy to start 3-0 that year, but then drop a game and a game you shouldn't or something. But to not only just show flashes, but then continue to stay at this level, it just, I think, shows a level of coaching I probably can't even comprehend. But because I don't know, like you said, it probably felt like what you guys were doing during your time was like making huge strides.
Right. Yes. It's also crazy because, like, if you think about it, every single year Leipold's been there, there's been 2 to 3 quarterbacks that have played, like, and not to just single out the quarterbacks, like obviously other guys have been injured, but Big 12 Power 4 football quarterback, pretty important position. So the fact that they've been able to adapt and win games with backup quarterbacks, like, that's just another kind of compliment to how good this coaching staff is. And another thing I've noticed is, there's been so many games already in 3 years where maybe we start down 10-0 or 14-0, like at Oklahoma State this past year. And, you work on a game plan all week and kind of get hit in the mouth to start the game. And next thing you know, you're down 14-0, and their ability to make in-game adjustments is kind of second to none. And, their ability to adapt in the heat of the moment is really impressive.
Yeah. So speaking of like adapt, change, I don't know. I think the thing that we haven't worried much about going into this year, but I do still have that in the back of my mind, is that we do have a new offensive coordinator. And like Andy Kotelnicki was very sick at times. Like, some of the stuff he drew up was filthy. And I know this guy's good, but it's like, you're a quarterback. You played for a variety of offensive coordinators. Like, how do you think this could possibly be a bigger challenge than we're all expecting? Or do you think the fact that there's so much talent returning from the offense and it's more of a Leipold system, I don't know, like, is that something that we should be worried about? Or do you think this is just such a well-oiled machine at this point that it'll go pretty smoothly?
Yeah, that's an interesting point. And I think that'll be kind of telling because, Andy Kotelnicki, he was incredible. Like, I feel like it's week in, week out. You were seeing some plays out of him where it's just like, how do they even come up with that? Like, how often do they practice that play? And, they just pull it out in the middle of a top 25 Big 12 game. And it's just like, what? Like, I wouldn't even think about trying that. But it is going to be interesting to see how different it is. I think we will be more not focused, but I think we are going to see more stuff in the pass game. I think with Kotelnicki, it was a lot of run game, which is great. Like, you got to do that. And I hope that continues with the running backs we got. But I think we are going to see more passing just based off his resume. He coached Zach Wilson at BYU. Baylor, I know he didn't have a lot of success, but they still had some really good stuff, like schematically. And, so I think it is going to be just kind of interesting to see how much it changes. And with Lance, like, is Lance going to have his hand on a lot of the stuff? So, yeah, we'll see.
Yeah.
I think when not everyone, but a lot of KU fans, when they think about this season, they think it hinges on JD's health. Maybe you do it. I know these two do. I think about it. Do you think it's fair to label him injury prone? And I guess, what are your expectations for him this season?
Yeah, like, statistically, sure, it looks like he's injury prone. Like, his freshman year, 2020, he was 17 years old, playing behind one of the worst O-lines in power football history. I can say that because a lot of the guys were different than what they were the year before my last year. But I mean, if you go back and look at 2020 tape, he was running for his life, and again, 17 years old. So that year, him getting hurt, I don't even count that. 2021, honestly, I forget. It was
he didn't start the year. He came in later on, right? Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah,
so 2021, he didn't.
He came in and beat Texas late, but
no, exactly. And then
22 is the TCU game, and then last year, obviously, at Texas.
Right. So Yeah, we'll see. I do worry about it a little bit just because he's so talented and so versatile, and he really is a guy that takes us over the top. But I think Cole Ballard getting experience last year is just huge. He was true freshman walk-on QB and steps in middle of the game against Texas Tech, I think, and then ends up playing 2 or 3 more games. So I think that was a really good experience. And then even behind him, we got Isaiah Marshall, who I've heard nothing but good things about. I think he was Michigan player of the year. So I think we'll be able to handle it decently if JD does go down. But no, I'm not necessarily worried about it.
How much do you think it matters that they're playing home games away from Lawrence? Like, as a player, does that change their mindset? Is every game a road game? Like, what all does that change? And is that going to actually affect anything? Or at the end of the day, is it just Saturday's game day? We're going to be there wherever.
Right. Yeah, I think it'll be fine. I definitely expect a good showing from the Kansas City KU alum fan base. And yeah, at the end of the day, as long as it's not 80,000 people for the other team, it's not going to feel like an away game. So, and I think those guys stay in a Kansas City hotel anyways. So it's not like the drive's going to be too bad. It might actually be shorter this year. So I think, I don't think it's going to be too big of a change for them.
Yeah. We texted about the O-line a couple of nights ago. Obviously you lose Nowitzki, you lose Pooney, Fuchs, offensive line coach left. I guess, how worried are you about the O-line? And I guess that's my question. Are you worried about the O-line?
Not worried, just based off what we've seen under Leipold's teams. But I guess I am a little bit worried. Coach Fuchs was a great coach, and losing a guy like Puny, I saw a clip of Fred Warner and Nick Bosa at the Niners practice 2 weeks into training camp. I think Fred Warner was mic'd up, and he's talking about how good Puny is, and that rookie's a dog, and that's those are 2 pretty high caliber guys speaking about that. So losing a guy like that's pretty invaluable. And Mike Nowitzki as well, only center we've had under the Leipold era. He was really cerebral, always made sure guys were in the right spot. I think he was handling the protections, and also the kid that transferred to Texas A&M, Armaj Reed Adams, he's going to be a starter for them. So that's I think that is the biggest question mark, especially with a new scheme and just not knowing how we're going to come out and do just from a schematic standpoint. But I think time will tell with that.
So this is a question for all of you, and maybe more so to B-Turn and AB, because we live more in the Twitter universe. But KU has gone from the cute underdog darling story where every win we're holy shit, we won. And now we're going into a season where I'm dead serious. I want to be 7-0 going into Manhattan, and I'm going to be slightly annoyed if we're not.
Right.
So knowing KU Twitter, if something goes wrong early in the year, we drop a game we shouldn't drop, where do you guys see the first finger starting to be pointed? Because we can finger point, and we pick something and we pick on it hard.
KU fans? No.
Yeah.
Not us.
Last year, it was a little bit Jason Bean, even though he obviously had some struggles early on. But you look back on, obviously it ended up being great. But when he was struggling a little bit at first, it was brutal for that guy. And so I'm just trying to think, this team, the fan base, even the players, how do you shift from being that underdog story to now you have these expectations? And if something goes wrong, will we see mentally for the players, and we see the fan base do stupid KU fan base things that melt down quickly?
I think there's 2 answers to that. Grimes is the obvious target because he's new. He's the new guy. It's if the offense just looks not as exciting and fun, it may not even be his fault. That's where people are going to go because he's the new guy in town. But if JD gets hurt again, whether it's right or wrong, people are going to blame him. Like, I think it's wrong, but like that's going to happen. Like, I think we can all acknowledge that. It's messed up, but those would be my two takes. And obviously that involves things going the way I just said them, but let's hope.
I can immediately see in people be like, well, we should have gave Kotelnicki a raise, or we should have hired him earlier. We should have promised him to be our next head coach. Yeah, I could see the Grimes, or I could see us losing it. If we lose a game at Arrowhead, like if we lose to TCU or Houston, I could see the fans being like, well, if we were in Lawrence, if we would have just got the stadium built like 10 years ago, like
that's going to be me. Hand up. I will be saying, do you know how stupid it is that we're playing road games in our best season ever?
Brian could be blaming Jeff Long that the stadium wasn't built in 2019.
70,000 people stadium. We got a half full stadium.
Jeff Long, my God, we got to get that guy on a pod. I feel like he's sitting somewhere with just a beard and long hair. Just him and Les are hanging out. Like, man, Les, we almost had it.
After the Boston College game, we were back in my mind. Like, I probably shed tears.
All the way. That
Kansas
was
football was back, and then
guys, I had KU winning by 21 against K-State.
Was it West Virginia, Carter? The next game, it was Big 12.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is that where we ran halfback dives all game?
No, that was
like a Hail Mary.
That was Coastal Carolina, a game before Boston College.
Yeah.
West Virginia, I threw a nice pick beginning of the fourth quarter. That kind of didn't help.
Didn't we recovered an onside kick or something, and they called offsides? Is that right?
Yeah, something crazy at the end.
Yeah, no, I completely forgot about that. Yeah, I think we lost like 29-24. Totally should have won. But back to Jeff Long. Boston College coach Les Miles, like before the game, I don't know how this came about, but he said it was played on a Friday night, kind of like a late game Friday night, and he said if we win, we were going to stay in Boston and just have a night. And so sure enough, game goes how it went. We get back in the locker room, everyone's fired up, and I think it was like a freshman. It was maybe freshman Kenny Logan that was like, Coach, like, what's the deal? We're staying here, right? And he was like, oh, that's right, I said that. And he was like, yeah. No, we're staying here. And he kind of looks at Jeff Long, and everyone at this point is like fired up. We're like, are they really going to let us do this? And everyone's pumped. And Jeff Long was just like, no, we're going back to Lawrence. And we're like, oh, boo. It was so
Can I
was
ask
hoping.
one other question about that season while we're on it?
Yeah.
I know there was a meaning behind it. What were the K-State jerseys? The uniform selection for that?
That you guys
that had to be impossible for you. It was a light gray versus a white. What are we doing?
Thank you.
You threw picks in that game where I was like, that's not Carter Stanley playing quarterback. That's like, what is he supposed to do? They're wearing the same color. There's shadows. It blew my mind.
No, I thank you. I mean, that's obviously not the reason why we lost, but didn't make it easy.
I think it is.
It was like we were shown those uniforms like before the season, and we were told we were going to wear them at some point in the season. I was thinking like, let's just get it over with. Second game of the year, like Coastal Carolina. I don't care. Like, I don't want to wear these jerseys. No one wants to. Nothing about them were good. Like, they were disgusting. But if we were to wear them like at any point in time, K-State was the worst game, rivalry game, and we're literally wearing silver and gray, which is like their away colors. It's literally white and silver. So
not just a rivalry game, the like most anticipated home game to that moment in probably 9 to 10 years. Yeah.
Yeah, we throw out these garbage jerseys that just have no significance at all. Yeah, that was bad.
Game was over before me and B-Turn got in the stadium. We waited in line so long. That's another thing. Absolutely no crowd control. Debacle. I get in, we're down 14-0 with the most horrendous uniforms of all time.
Can that
They
change
ran-
the mood of a locker room, the uniform choice? I think like it does when we go in the blackout unis, I think that they come out with a little extra spark. But if you know a uniform combo is bad or you like going out there a little, I don't know. It maybe sounds like a crazy question, but
No, it's honestly a good point, and I think there's something mentally to it because I know for us, like, which is another funny thing, how kind of winning just changes everything. Like, we begged for blackout uniforms, and we were told it's not a school color. I don't think anything's changed except for the fact that we win now, so they can wear black jerseys. But no, like we were fired up wearing like the red jerseys. I feel like the guys are always fired up doing that, and so yeah, I guess the opposite side of it would be like, yeah, we're wearing like, what are we wearing?
Yeah. And your era was like, I feel like a different combo, a different uniform, like every week.
we're going
Whereas
back
now-
to that though. It feels like we're going back to that.
Really, I'm kind of liking the traditional, you know.
But like the video they tweeted out the other day, they had the standard blue, they had a white, they had a powder blue, they had the blacks, they had the reds. That's 5 right there. Not to mention helmets and pants. They're not going to wear the same combination once this year. There's 12 different combos.
Well, you just answered that.
Yeah, I think Lance said like last year, or someone said it, they had like 41 total uniform combinations, which seems kind of insane, but I don't doubt it.
The black,
What?
so good.
I love the black.
Like, let's say JD, you 100% get JD healthy for the whole year. What are your true expectations? Like, how many games do they win? Can you see them making it to the Big 12 title game? Can they make it to the playoff? How are you feeling?
Yeah, no, it's I definitely want to hear all of your kind of predictions, I guess. But I think if we stay relatively healthy, like injuries are going to happen, but I think as long as we don't have any significant injuries, I'm saying 11-1 in the regular season, and I don't know who that loss is going to be to. It's easy to think of one game on the schedule, but
Who the fuck is K-State?
but I don't know. I think I'm going 11-1 and not particularly K-State, and then Big 12 championship. I think we do get there. Probably against a team like Utah or Oklahoma State, maybe even a rematch with K-State. And I don't know. I think our ceiling is college football playoff. And I'm not going to talk about floor because I think that's kind of revolves around injuries, I guess. But it's going to be a good year.
Yeah, I mean, every time I look at, I think I said this 3 weeks ago when we talked about this. Every time I look at this schedule, I'm like, tell me why this team can't go win 11 games. And if you get crazy, win 12. Like, it's crazy what taking OU and Texas off the schedule does. Now, yes, at K-State is going to be tough. At West Virginia is going to be tough. This team, as Carter was saying earlier, how quickly Leipold has showed improvement year by year. I just feel like this team is going to be incredible with all the guys that are coming back. Even like, I don't know, I don't even want to talk about a world where Jalen's not healthy. I still feel like they could go win 9 games with Ballard or Marshall playing 6 of them.
That's why our over-under on every single sports book is 8, and I would just put my house on it. Like, I feel like that's, like you said, I think our backups could go win at BYU, at Arizona, like a backup quarterback at BYU, at Arizona State. So we're doing the live show at the casino tomorrow, me and AB, and I might just have to sell some stuff at my house, donate blood, get money, sell, and go put it all on KU over 8, because I feel like that's worst case, like 8-4. I personally think we'll at least push that. But
so what in AB you can say if you think we're talking crazy, but like if I'm looking at this schedule and they've got our over under at 8 or 8.5.
I've seen both.
Yeah.
I have no idea. Braden, you said it was
I
8.
think mainly 8.5.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if it's 8.5, I can see it. But when I look down, it's like, what are the 4 losses? If it's at 8, what are you confidently saying we are losing on this schedule? I don't know. It's crazy
yeah,
to say
you
these
avoid-
things, but I'm dead serious.
I was talking about this on the stream last night. I think there's a couple games early in the season that we're just completely overlooking and counting as wins that might be a little more hairy than we think. Like at Illinois, I'm sorry, that's not a guaranteed win for me.
Right.
Like I think we'll win. I'm not going to predict us to lose, but like, would I be surprised if we lost 24-21? No.
Right.
That's kind of what I was talking about
I can see 1
earlier.
or 2 of those happening before K-State where it just throws things off. But like
At West Virginia is going to be
yeah, that
tough.
was the other one. Mm-hmm.
Who knows with TCU? I feel like they always, they'll go like 6-6, and then they'll do like New Year's Six Bowl, 6-6, New Year's Six Bowl. So that's not good news for us, considering how last year went for them. But yeah, I think it is kind of crazy. Like just talking about the schedule, and I'm gonna preface this by saying clearly, like this is no disrespect to 2017, like at all, obviously. But if you do look at the schedule they had that year and the Big 12 like final standings, I think outside of us, the top 4 teams were like Oklahoma, Texas, Texas Tech, Missouri. And we only played one of those 4 teams. Obviously, brutal loss in Arrowhead to Missouri, but that's kind of like, with the new Big 12, best teams are Utah, Oklahoma State, and Arizona. Like those 3 teams are really good teams and supposed to be towards the top of the conference. And the fact that we don't play them, I think that is a huge deal and something that hopefully we can like capitalize on.
What do you guys think we need to be like? What's the second team's record to get into the Big 12 championship game? Does 2 losses, 7-2 get in? I'm sure tiebreakers would be involved at 7-2.
Mm-hmm.
I'll let you guys think about that, and I wanted to kind of touch on something similar to that, and why the West Virginia game scares me. Like, because I think that's going to be maybe the second toughest game of the season, but it's your first Big 12 game. If you drop that one, and it might make you feel like you got to win out. I mean, bare minimum, you can only lose 1 more, but I feel like that would kind of put some pressure on the guys, and it's just a tough road trip, first Big 12 game. And if you have to win, how many Big 12 games do you get? 9. If you have to win 8 straight to make the Big 12 title game, that just scares me a little bit.
For sure.
Yeah. AB, so kind of on that topic, into your question, is there any chance? I don't know enough about the Big 12 top to bottom, but like, is there any chance this is a conference where every game, every weekend is like a 1-score game and it's really close? Or do you think it will actually be 3 or 4 teams just very much distancing themselves?
I don't know if it'll be very much. I think there's probably 8 teams that probably think they have a legitimate chance. I think there's some teams at the bottom that are just awful. Arizona State,
yeah.
They play all of them.
Cincinnati.
Yeah. Cincy went 9-0 in my season last night. Sorry, I just had to throw that out there.
No,
they're not going 9-0 in this world.
Right.
Is John Darrell eyeing that job?
Well, some people were calling for the hot seat, but I just responded to them. If a KU football coach went 9-3, you wanted them fired, I would want you killed. So, really sad.
9-3 ain't doing the job this year, John Darrell.
So if Lance goes 9-3 this year, call him for his head. Bring back Andy, hire him back from Penn State.
Yeah.
Over 8 wins is -135 on DK. So kind of juicy, but if you think it's going to be a push, and then you can get like alternate, you can get over 9 at plus money. You could push that also. But yeah, we talked about just conference winner odds. There's 16 teams in the Big 12. Out of the top 8, KU plays 2 of them, K-State and Iowa State. Like we avoid Utah, Oklahoma State, UCF, Arizona, Texas Tech. And then the bottom 8, you get West Virginia, TCU, Colorado, Baylor, Arizona State, BYU, Houston.
So I agree I'm scared of West Virginia, but why is that like Is it just because our schedule is fairly that week and West Virginia is like the second scariest game on the schedule?
And
Like,
Carter,
what are we worried about with them?
Is that a weird travel, like that travel out to West Virginia? Does it affect you guys at all?
It is kind of weird. You know, it's definitely not an easy place to get to. I forget where we flew into when we went there.
Pittsburgh.
I played there 2016 and 2018. No, I don't think it was no, it wasn't Pittsburgh. I have no clue where it was, honestly, but it was like a 2-hour drive from you fly in, flight's long enough, and then I remember it being like, I guess it was like an hour to the hotel and then pretty much like an hour on game day, which was brutal. But yeah, it is kind of a tough spot to travel to for sure. But just the atmosphere, like it's by no means going to be a game where those guys are sleepwalking, I don't think, because it's a good atmosphere. And obviously West Virginia is supposed to be, decent this year, pretty solid.
Yeah. The good thing about them is we might see early how good they are. I mean, Penn State's really good, but they play them week 1 and then they play Pittsburgh before us. I didn't even know they went 9-4 last year. That's kind of wild.
Mm-hmm.
Right. No, it was sneaky.
But they had the 2024 KU schedule. They played.
Well, they won off a bunch of fluky shit. Like they won 5 games by 3 or by 1 score, I think, or something.
Hey, TCU made a national championship game playing that way, so don't sleep on that strategy. And also hurting every starting quarterback they played, but besides the point.
I was gonna ask you
what's on your mind, right?
I was gonna dive deeper into the K-State game. Just
upcoming or past?
No, we're not going to the past. Can't do that.
Great unis.
What, like?
God,
I don't know. I know we joke we're gonna go 7. I want to be 7-0 heading into that game. How possible is it that we can actually go in and win in Manhattan? Because I want it. Maybe more than any regular season game in a while. Football or basketball.
Almost did it.
Hey, and we scored 2 game-winning freaking touchdowns that were called back.
Wrong.
That was the Bill Snyder send-off game.
Oh yeah, that was the Coach K, like Bill Snyder lectured the refs on the sidelines before.
Don't make it about you.
Yeah, but I don't know. Like, I want to talk myself so badly into winning at K-State. I think we can. I think this team, with being as veteran-led as they are, that it's something they would almost like. It reminds me of like those old Bill Self teams that would have like a Devontae Graham on their team where they would go in and like win on the road every time it was a big game, big atmosphere. But it's also like those bastards over there at K-State at Manhattan, like they just seem to always show up for this game. And it's like, I don't know. Like, what do we think the spread's going to be in that game? I guess.
Look ahead 7.5, right?
See, that's brutal.
If we are 7-0 and they're anything around that, like 6-1, which that's another thing with the Big 12 is if you look at a lot of other team schedules, it's pretty soft too. So that kind of scares me about making the Big 12 title. But yeah, if both teams are ranked and that's like a night game in Manhattan, kind of like a couple of years ago where we muffed the punt at the 1 or whatever. We're pretty good at muffing punts against K-State.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, if it's like a night game, that crowd is going to be insane.
They've got a crazy schedule like the 6 weeks before our game against them.
Good. This is what I need, AB.
Yeah,
they go to Tulane. They play Arizona at BYU, which is weird travel. Oklahoma State, who's good, at Colorado altitude, at West Virginia, which we've been talking about, and then our game. I'm just saying.
That altitude.
A lot to deal. Well, Siri, you hear pros talk about.
Yeah, I agree.
Another Super Bowl.
The Arizona game annoys me because they could lose that game and still be fine because it's not a Big 12 game somehow, and they're in the Big 12. So like they could lose to Arizona and
wait, what?
Yeah. This is the dumbest thing in the world.
It was scheduled like the way football does it, so stupid, where tomorrow you'll see a tweet from Brett McMurphy that Michigan's playing, Oklahoma State in 2038, and that's what happened with K-State and Arizona. And then now all of a sudden they're in the same conference.
Weird.
I think Baylor and Utah play each other in the non-con too. There's another matchup of two teams that'll play, but it's not counting as a Big 12 game.
That's another thing I wanted to ask you, AB. Like, how important are non-con games really anymore? Because we're probably, it's going to be tough for us to get an at-large. Like, if you did lose to Illinois and Champaign, like, how big of a deal is that really? As long as you run the table or only lose one game in the Big 12. Like, that's because K-State, if they lose to Arizona, like, is it really that big of a deal? They're ranked and they're not in the conference.
They won the conference. The same year they lost to Tulane. Same thing. But I think I agree with you. I don't know what a Big 12 team would have to do to get an at-large bid. They'd have to be like a 12-0 and then lose in the Big 12 championship, maybe.
Right. Like a TCU 2020 type of deal, or 2022. Right. Yeah.
I don't know. Because I'm just still in the mindset that they're gonna give the SEC and Big 10 like 8 or 9 teams combined, and then there's 3 left up for grabs between the Big 12, ACC, and the group of 5s.
That's what someone just said in the comments. Is it won't matter for Big 12 teams, but it will if you're in the Big 10. Like, they're going to get at-larges. There could be a Bama or Georgia or whatever that loses one game and get in. That's why
I can't wait for all the takes when around that where you're picking those final teams and all. I mean, what happened last year was just unreal. And to think of that,
there's a non-zero chance that the 11 seed comes down to KU, K-State, and Mizzou. Isn't that insane to think about?
I mean, yeah,
they're all kind of in that range. Like,
I think Mizzou has a pretty good shot to make the playoff. They returned like 90% of their production. Their schedule's pretty favorable. Can you imagine us having a playoff game at Arrowhead, though?
Oh, their coach is such a dork. I can't do that. Speaking of Arrowhead, that would be sick. That would be sick. Carter, as a player, would you rather play in the Sporting KC stadium where it's smaller, crowd's probably going to be pretty packed in there, I would hope, or would you rather play in the NFL stadium that's probably going to have like a lot of empty seats?
I'd say NFL stadium for sure. I guess it depends. Honestly, I think it's perfect how they're doing it. Like the 2 non-conference games, we don't need to be in Arrowhead against Lindenwood. We really don't need to be in Arrowhead against UNLV either. So, because that's when you really would get a ton of empty seats, and it's like, you kind of get unmotivated maybe, but you get a cool MLS stadium. It's packed, not a single seat left in the house. Like, yeah, it's not a huge venue, but it just brings good energy, just seeing it fully packed, regardless of how big. So I think it's good how they're doing it.
Yeah.
Also, if this was your senior year with all these expectations, would you be a little salty that you don't get to play in Lawrence, or would it even affect you on game days playing in KC?
Yeah, as a senior, I think I would be a little bit bummed, just because I don't know. There's even with the old stadium and how brutal the old stadium was. Honestly, it was. I loved it, but now that I've been done and I've been able to sit in the stadium and go get food in the stadium and go to the bathroom in the stadium, it was brutal. So
not to mention your phone's a brick. You cannot communicate with the outside world.
Yeah.
Other football games, you might as well not. If you want to pay attention to another game, you might as well stay home.
You gotta wait for the score to pop up.
Yeah, they only show 5 of them, and half of them are games that no one gives a shit about.
Yeah, but it's it is still cool to see the hill and just be right there on campus. So I don't know, kind of 50-50, but at the same time, if you're a senior, especially if you're a guy that's probably going to get a look at the NFL, sweet to play in Arrowhead,
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be – I mean, it could be very sick too. And that's what I keep asking. I don't know enough about this. Are they maxing the amount of tickets we can sell at Arrowhead? If someone in the chat knows. But, if we wanted to sell out Arrowhead, could we?
I don't see why not. I would assume the
I
Chiefs
think
probably
I
get a
was
percentage of
thinking-
the tickets.
It's got to be the
More money
Iowa
for
State
them.
one.
I mean, it'd still be really hard to do, but it's like if things are really good, you're heading into the Colorado game, and why can't you put 60,000+ people in there? I don't know. Like that would be where this could all of a sudden turn into something really awesome. Or you play a playoff game there, and you're definitely going to have a ton of people. So,
I mean, Booth was close to 50, right?
yeah, it's like,
And we
48, 49.
had multiple sellouts at least the last couple of years. College game day, I think that year they sold out most home games.
Yeah.
There's a lot of KU fans in the KC Metro. I don't know if they can't fill up the seats. Like, you might as well just give tickets away to kids, classes, pick them up, bring them to the game.
yeah. I mean, I think we'll still have really good turnouts. Like, I think we'll still have 50,000, but this 50,000 in an Arrowhead looked good. You don't think we'll get 50 in Arrowhead, AB? 45?
You think we're drawing 50K to Arrowhead against TCU? Like, I
If
don't want to
we're
sound
four,
negative.
if we're
like,
4-0,
but go look at like Pitt, for example, and they're playing at Old Hines. Like, they don't come close. It always looks empty. Like,
yeah,
I
but
hope
that's
I'm
my
wrong.
fear.
I just think setting the bar at like 55 or 60 a game is like that's more than what we would do in Lawrence, and we're 45 minutes from campus. Where, there's a big KU,
that's the problem.
a big KU gang in Kansas City, and the diehards like you and Alan, you're going to drive. I don't know that I trust that 10, 12,000 students are going to show up every game. I don't know that
That's
I trust
the biggest
people
worry.
that live in Wichita or Topeka or are going to like make the hour, 2 hour, 3 hour drive.
See, I think you
there's
will
just so many
get,
like road bumps. I don't know.
Yeah, I think you will get a lot of people though, like, I don't know, like fresh out of KU that are living in Kansas City. Maybe they're not making the drive to Lawrence on a normal game day, but heck, if you're 10, 15 minutes away from Arrowhead and we're 4-0, like, I think you are going to get a lot of people, kind of more recent KU grads that live in Kansas City, and older people too. But like, I think that is going to be interesting. All in all, I think it's going to be like similar attendance to what it was last year, right around the 50K range. But it's definitely going to be a different vibe. Obviously, like less students, not fully packed house just because of the capacity. But I think the numbers will kind of still be the same.
What remind me of what Arrowhead holds?
I think it's like 67.
What is it, 80, 70?
Yeah. So I guess if you have 45,000 in that stadium, is that going to look depressingly empty? What'd you say it was?
Yeah,
76.
Oh.
But like I just there's no scenario. The upper deck's going to be the thing that's shown the most on the overhead when you're really getting a good look at the crowd, and that's always going to look empty. Like, I don't think there's going to be a game we sell out. Iowa State will probably be the fullest just because they'll come. Colorado might because it's a big brand and it's not that far, but like,
yeah.
I give another worry about that. I might sound crazy. I'm a little worried about the crowd tomorrow night.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
holiday weekend, Thursday evening. I just
Lindenwood
Royals in a battle. I wonder how many Lindenwood alum are going to be stopping at the old kids table tomorrow night. I don't know. Like, right? Is anyone in your group going? I know Casey's going. I'm using Cole's ticket, but like, I can't imagine Alan and Andrea are going. I know you're not going.
Alan's newborn baby. Hey, shout out James, newborn baby, a week old today.
Is that
James MacArthur?
Yeah, big game, James. Jam.
But I'm not saying that you guys don't have valid excuses. I'm just saying how many groups of people that have season tickets are going to have similar excuses to where they can't make it. And it's like, I don't think it's going to look empty. It came to my head today. Like, is this thing going to be full?
Yeah, I mean, it is like hard for people that it's just not in our a KU basketball game, it's just normal for me to like get off work, hop in the car, head to KU basketball game. But to like think of that now on a Thursday night, to travel an hour, or even the people coming from Lawrence to travel 45 minutes to Kansas City, maybe less because it's sporting, but like, yeah, it will be. But what's that hold? What's that stadium hold? Like,
It's like 18,000, I think.
yeah, like we will, that place better
I
be
sure hope
sold
so.
out.
I know it will be a sellout. All the tickets will be sold. It's more a question of are all the people that have tickets going to show up? I'm not worried that it's going to be like we only sold 14,000 tickets. What's going on? I just have the feeling that there's going to be a lot of groups that's, their motivation to go might be pretty slim. And it's supposed to like rain tomorrow night too. I think like there are things that could be in the way, and I'm just a little.
18,000 is hilarious though.
That
is so intimate and so sick. Like,
AB, we're doing the live show tomorrow. I need a full report on Lindenwood from you. I need breakdown of their roster.
You're asking the wrong
coaching staff.
No, you're asking the wrong
guy. Right. Have you seen Lindenwood's results from last year?
No.
They lost 52-10 to Austin P.
Hey, Austin P's a wagon. People forget
Austin
that.
P was my team at Bill Self basketball camp as a young boy.
Yeah, 45-7 to SEMO.
Wow.
They did beat Tennessee Tech 23-zip.
Hey,
we got to Tennessee Tech. I don't know.
What I'm trying to look up, AB, is who's got the funniest name on the Lindenwood roster. I can't get it to load. I'm not even sure their website works.
It can't.
AB, I got a question for you.
Yeah.
Because I feel like you won't give any expectations on this team. Mm-hmm. And so I don't know how you feel about the team because you bring up JD possibly getting hurt. But I want to know how you feel about this team if he does stay healthy, because I just don't get good vibes from you about this team. And
I'll tell you right now, Braden, if he stays healthy, they're going 10-2. They're losing to Illinois, they're losing at K-State, and they're beating Utah in the Big 12 championship. Don't ask me how, but it's going to happen.
Wow. I take 10-2 with a Big 12 title.
I got to figure out K-State,
though, huh?
What'd you say?
I got to figure out how to be KU Utah if KU's losing a head-to-head to K-State. Like, what 2 games are the Wildcats open? But
Carter, do you think JD could make slight Heisman noise if he does play the full season? Like, do you think he's on that level?
Oh, yeah. 100%. Like he is like how he started 2022. He was so efficient and just a walking highlight reel, made very little mistakes, making plays with his arm, his legs. He can 100%. And also just having the veterans around him. I know the O-line is not, maybe what it was last year. We'll see. But just having 3 to 4 veteran wide receivers that he's been with for 4 years, and having Devin Neal, having Highshaw, having Jared Casey, I think it is, he can totally be in the conversation fairly early too if we start off hot.
I do think the fact that he's a now nationally known name, he's coming back from injury. We have all this hype going in. If he could go in and put up a big play like he did against Illinois last year, if he does that right out of the gates, I feel like he will right away.
Totally.
You'll see that conversation, I would hope. But
how long do we think the starters will play tomorrow night? If they do end up blowing them out, I'm kind of just trying to think back. I guess when you guys blew someone out, or if you guys did,
Rhode Island.
Rhode Island. There we go. We got
how long?
Never forget.
I guess
people forget.
How long do starters usually play in those games? Because obviously you probably want JD, Dev, and those guys on ice early.
Right. Yeah, I think I was talking about this with Shreyas last night on our pod, but I think there is a fine line, especially with a game like at Illinois week 2. You don't want to rest the starters after the first possession. You want them to get in a groove, get in the flow. Like, yeah, you don't want Devin Neal to have 30 carries at the end of the game, but I think you do want to have those guys get real live reps, go out, low volume, high efficiency, and just, maybe halftime, call it. But yeah, if it's anything longer than halftime, I'm going to be worried. And then, I don't think it should be any sooner than, beginning of second quarter.
And
What do we?
I need to ask all of you guys this. Like, did you ever think we would get to a point where we're just going into a game thinking we're going to kill someone? Because even back in the day, like our previous coaches, I still would, even probably the Rhode Island game, I was probably sitting there like, God, I just hope we win this game. This could be one of our only wins of the season. Like, and now I expect us to line up and just kill Lindenwood.
Yeah.
I felt like we'd never get to that point.
I mean, Lindenwood is like quite the name to have on the schedule. Like, I don't even think those teams back in the Lindenwood just hits different. That is a team you look at the schedule and you're like, we're winning by 50. I don't care who's playing quarterback.
It's their first FBS game.
I was going to ask, is this their first time playing an FBS team? Because I think they just moved up to FCS.
Yeah, they were only FCS for 2 years. They were D2 since like 2010, and then 1990 was their inaugural season with a young David Beatty at wide receiver. Fun fact.
Your guy.
Wow.
Yeah.
They bring him in as an analyst this week. Just
maybe. But no, they were NAIA from like 1990 to 2010, then D2, then FCS.
Yeah, I mean, it's a hilarious first game. But
I mean, they went from playing MNU to KU within a 14-year span.
What are we assuming we blow them out? What are we, 50? Are we 47.5 point favorites?
45. I just saw on ESPN.
Hammer it.
What
do we
money line?
The ESPN app just said not on the board, just off. Totals 58.5, projected score 52-7 KU.
Okay, what do we think about, or like, what do we want to see offensively tomorrow? New coordinator, but JD's back. You've got all this excitement with these guys returning, but like, are you kind of wanting to see almost like a vanilla, boring offense? Or do you want to see this new offensive coordinator go out and kind of try some things to get us feeling good momentum going into the Illinois game?
I want it to be like as simple as possible, honestly. Like, I don't think, yeah, sure, if like the first play you want to try to take a shot, you can still take a shot, but just have it be like a base concept, say post in a dig. Like, it's not like any sort of gadget play, but you could do that. But I think they should just keep it super simple. And honestly, even in the next couple games, like, don't pull out all the stops first 4 games of the year. Like, save some in the bag for sure.
Unless you need to.
You said what? Unless you need to, of course.
Is that how much of that has to do with there being a new offensive coordinator? Like, is there anything you want to see these guys run a gadget type of play against Lindenwood just to see it in game action with a new guy calling them in? Or is it just it's the same group, they know how to play together?
Yeah. Show me against Illinois. I don't want to waste a play against Lindenwood.
That's what I need to happen is Devin Neal's like 750 rushing yards away from breaking the all-time record.
Break it tomorrow.
So I need him, first half, but I need him to chunk into that because he'll probably only play one half. I need first 2 drives, 75-yard run, 75-yard run.
I was going to say, I want 3 carries, 225 yards, 3 touchdowns out of Devin Neal. No broken tackles, 0 contact. Just get the yards and get out.
It's like Randy Moss against the Cowboys when they show that stat line. Yeah, do that and then just give Sevy or Harry Stewart like 30 carries each.
For sure.
And then do you think Zeke would end up playing, or are they going to try to preserve his red shirt as much as possible?
Well, I was going to say that, like, there's kind of like a fine line. I do want to see those guys play. Like, I want to see Ballard play. I want to see Zeke Marshall. I want to see Ben Easters play. Like, because with the new red shirt, or not new anymore, I think it was like 2018, but you can play every down of 4 games. So like, yeah, I mean, these guys,
Right.
we're not gonna destroy UNLV. Like, and obviously, like the rest of the games, you're not getting your second, third, fourth string quarterback in. So I do want to see like a lot of the guys, and that goes for like all positions. Like I want to see some of the young guys and, really kind of treat it like a preseason NFL game.
That was going to be my last question that I had for you, was just like position groups you might be worried about. I know we talked about the O-line, and then position groups you're excited about or will surprise people. So that, and then I guess any freshmen that you've heard people talk about or that you're excited about.
Sorry, that it kind of cut out for a second. That first part was, what was the first question?
Just position groups you're either worried about, excited about, or think will surprise, and then freshmen you're excited to watch.
I think not necessarily worried, but biggest question mark, I think, is the offensive line. Again, with new coach and 3 of the 5 guys being new. So I think that's the one I'm most like curious about. And I think also the front 7 too. Like I think Illinois is going to be a big test for our front 7. And I think really good before we play a team like West Virginia, teams like K-State, that focus on the run, because Illinois is a super physical team. Brent Bielema, like they're just going to pound the rock. We saw them try to do it last year, but they got behind pretty quickly, so they kind of changed. But yeah, I think the front 7, I definitely want to see them play well early in the season just to kind of set that tone. And as far as freshmen, I've heard really good things about blanking on his name now, the edge rusher Warner, I think.
DJ
Sean.
Yeah, I've heard nothing but good things about him. I think he could be like a Dorrance Armstrong caliber player, and who knows, like maybe even better, because they've done a really good job, this staff, with like edge rushers, and they've kind of all come out of nowhere. Like 2022 was Lonnie Phelps. He transferred in and just crushed it. The guy played like an absolute psychopath. And then last year it was Booker, yeah. And he came out of nowhere and was so good. So I think they're definitely going to develop that kid, and it seems like he's got the talent. So I'm really excited about him.
I've got one more question. It's a very important one. It's 4th and 1. We'll call it 4th and goal on the 1-yard line. Fourth down. I've already clarified that. What are you calling? And what were your thoughts on the sugar huddle that Kotelnicki loved to roll out there? Like, were you ever a sugar huddle guy?
No, I think we maybe did it a few times, but by no means consistently. I do kind of like the sugar huddle because it's such a crucial down. You're going to have defensively, you're going to have the personnel right, because you see who's subs in the game, who's in there. So for the most part, defensively, you're going to have the personnel right. But as far as like breaking the huddle, getting set within 2-3 seconds and snapping the ball, like that alone will have the defenders kind of just like off. So my play would be probably sugar huddle. We're going from the gun. We're going to have trips left with an attached tight end, and I'm leaving it up to my 2 best players. Jalen Daniels running a speed option with Devin Neal. 4th and 1, find a way.
I love it.
Wave the weed.
God, imagine that.
Is that what happened in the Arkansas game with the targeting call?
Oh yeah, no, I think
they called targeting, and we got to rerun the 2-point conversion or the overtime.
Oh, yeah.
I don't remember what exactly.
Did we get stuffed on the play?
Well, we did on the play, but you got the penalty, so you got yourself another chance.
What about the Bean pass?
Huh?
What about the Jason Bean pass? In that game.
Perfect.
That game.
You know what? Hey, forget about it. He redeemed himself. So like, oh my gosh, because I think we kind of touched up on it earlier in the pod, but even when he kind of took over early last year after Jalen's injury, it was still like just kind of more of the same stuff. Like whether it was just kind of like I don't want to say boneheaded, but kind of like a boneheaded pass in like a crucial moment, or sliding on like the goal line or something, or running out like a yard short of the first down, just stuff like that. But then the way he finished was just like so incredible, and what a character arc.
Almost made the Colts roster, like,
and really should have. Yeah.
That the Indianapolis media like loved him, and that is, I don't know, like that is one thing I do worry about, because I think Jalen's going to be really good, but Bean was almost so good at the end of last year that it almost makes the expectation for Jalen feel even a little bit higher, because when Bean was clicking late in the year, he was legit incredible.
Yeah.
And I think it took us a little longer than it would have if he was the starter from the jump, but like it took us a little bit to really realize how absurdly good Jason Bean was last year. Sure. I don't know, but I think Daniel's going to be electric.
Yeah, Bean's like the most fascinating player I've ever watched in any sport for any team. It's like there were times where he's like, there's not one player on this planet that I would trust more with the ball right now. And then there are other times where like, there are thousands of quarterbacks that I would trust more than him right now. And you just never know. But he was so electric and so fun. Seemed like such a good dude too.
Yeah, no, it's funny with like the Colts thing too, because I think they ended up keeping Sam Ehlinger instead of Bean, and
Flacco too.
Really?
Yeah, Flacco's on the roster.
Oh, I didn't know that. Well, that's I guess that's understandable. Elite QB. But no, I was saying to someone like I think yesterday, but you mix like Sam Ehlinger's like grit and just like personality with Jason Bean's ability. We're talking about a top 5 NFL QB right there. Like that would just be disgusting.
Yeah, Bean. What is Bean's route now? Where's he go?
He's on the practice squad now, but he's also got he was like the UFL number 1 overall pick. Is that what it was?
But I kind of want him to go to the CFL or something and just absolutely dominate.
Can I ask one more question after this?
Yeah.
Sure. Well, I want Carter's opinion on Anthony Richardson, because it's like, to me, I watched this guy play for 4 years at Florida, and there were flashes, of course, and I can see why someone would fall in love with his body and skill set and his like ability. He had 4 years to show it at Florida, and it never happened. I see this guy going like top 5 fantasy quarterback. I see them like draft him top 5 in the NFL draft, and I'm just like, yeah, and like I can see why it would work, but I just need to see something happen before I believe it. But like, is that?
It's kind of I couldn't agree more. It's in a sense kind of like a Kyle Pitts situation almost, where it's like a lot of hype almost every year, and then the production just isn't there. But yeah, I didn't get it at Florida. Like he was so talented. He was like second coming of Cam Newton with, in my opinion, like much more accurate arm and like a bigger arm overall. But I think he had like 15 passing touchdowns his last year at Florida, which is just insane. But yeah, I mean, I'm sure hoping he turns out, and his coach Shane Steichen, he coached Jalen Hurts at Philly. He was responsible for Hurts' good year. Second year, he coached Herbert his rookie year. So I think he does have a good resume. I think it is going to work out for the sake of my fantasy team. I hope it does. But yeah, I think it will be interesting with him. And then he does have to stay healthy. Like he can't just run over guys in the NFL.
Why don't we just ask him about every starting QB in the league?
Well, we were talking about we mentioned 3 other Colts quarterbacks, so I figured I might as well talk about the ones.
Yeah, just
what do you think about
Jim Irsay?
Patrick Mahomes?
Irsay.
Pretty good.
Mahomes is all right. That guy's pretty good.
Fourth best player in the NFL, guys. You haven't heard of him?
Oh my gosh, that's right.
Do we have anything else for him?
I just, for the fellow Johns in the chat, they were dying to know as AB was munching away on dinner over there. What'd you have for dinner, AB?
Chipotle. I had Chipotle. Just standard burrito bowl, double meat, carnitas and chicken, white rice, black bean, pico, medium, sour cream, cheese. Send it down send it to my stomach.
Yes, sir.
Carter, what's your bowl? What's your Chipotle bowl?
Honestly, kind of switch it up, but I'd say go with the bowl, brown rice, steak, pinto beans, mild salsa, cheese, lettuce, corn.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that's it.
The corn's really good. I forgot about that.
Corn is good.
It's a much healthier bowl than we probably get, AB.
Well, look at the two of us and tell us if that's predictable or not.
You want to obviously you mentioned doing the pod. Do you want to kind of plug that a little bit and I guess update everyone on what you've been doing lately too? I guess we didn't really get a life update from you.
Yeah, no, appreciate it. Yes, I'll do pod first. I'm doing. We started it last year. It's Shreyas Latta, and he works with the Kansas City Star, and we're co-hosting it. We'll do it every week. I think we're going to publish it on like Wednesdays, and pretty much just looks ahead to KU's upcoming opponents. We're going to break down like 2 plays on offense, defense, sometimes more, and just kind of give hopefully the fans like a better idea of what to expect. And then we also try to just like input what we think KU should do. And it's obviously based off what we're seeing the upcoming opponent do and then what's been working well for us. So yeah, it's called Rock Chalk Film Room. Yeah, Rock Chalk Film Room. And yeah, we just posted the first episode. I retweeted it. So yeah, we'd love for the viewers to check it out. And yeah, life update, living in St. Petersburg, Florida. Been down in the area for 3 years now. Really liking it. It's definitely a cool spot. I'm like 3 hours away from Vero Beach, which is where my family is, and working at UBS doing financial services, just working on a private wealth management team right now, and definitely liking it.
Love it. Well, everyone go listen to the podcast because, as I've always said, this is the dumb brain analysis version of KU podcast. We like to give zero reasoning. It's like the Sugar Huddle thing's a prime example. We've been trashing Sugar Huddle for a year, and Carter's like, I like to play. It's like, that's because he knows what he's talking about. So
that's why you guys are the best, though.
So I don't know who you listen to first. Probably go listen to the good analysis first, and then come back and listen to us for the dumb brain analysis. But either way, that is cool that you guys are doing that. That'll be interesting to tune into, especially the breakdown of like plays and stuff, because we can't do that. Something we can't do, boys. But yeah.
Back, yeah.
Anything else?
Not for me.
No, hopefully see you at a game this year, and then hopefully see you at a playoff game or at the Big 12 title game in Texas, Arlington.
100%. No, that would be automatic book if we make it there. So no, I'm definitely fired up. Really appreciate you guys having me on. It's always a blast. And yeah, man, hopefully see you guys in Kansas City a couple times, and then like you said, Arlington.
Absolutely. All right. Well, thank you for coming on. Yes, shout out to the people in the chat. We did hit 1,000 on YouTube, so keep subscribing because we got to keep going. But shout out Carter, a legend, and we'll probably have him on again sometime this year. So Rock Chalk and go Hawks.
Go Hawks.